I follow like 30 people, right? And I'm annoyed by how much they post. The idea that you can follow thousands of people and have any sense of what the hell is going on, or being able to track any of them at all, is like a completely alien concept. Have you heard about micro-influencers? I mean, it's sort of, the title's a bit of a giveaway.
I guess I can guess what they are, but I wouldn't. What are they?
Right, so a micro-influencer now is kind of, it's a bit of a con where we're convincing people that it doesn't matter that they have a tiny audience, they can still be influential. And they take on like teeny tiny sponsorships to tell 100 people that they should buy a thing, or... And I just thought, well, this is interesting because, as we mentioned previously about side hustles, whenever you say anything about side hustles, people go, oh, what I'll do is I'll start a channel on YouTube and I'll talk about this thing that I can maybe make money from. And the problem is, if 1 million people do that all at once, and you're fighting over the attention of 10 million people, then you end up with like 10 people who might pay attention to you. That's a very kind of simplified kind of cutting it equally, which isn't even really what happens. But you've just got this kind of minute number of people following you around, if they even care. And it's a way of kind of keeping those people interested in maintaining their influence. And I'm just wondering if they should probably go away and do something else.
But are people trying to be micro-influencers?
Like
or
trying
are
to
you
have
just
a
kind of
small audience.
happening, that's just sort of happening?
Do you think that's like we're so insecure as a society now that you can't just be an unsuccessful influencer? No, I'm a micro-influencer.
No, they don't try to be micro-influencers. They try to be influencers.
They try to be macro.
Macro-influencers.
They've chosen an audience so niche that it was only ever going to be a micro audience.
Now that's possible. I mean, that's one way of approaching it. I think if they've said, oh, well, I kind of only want to make videos for people whose thumbs are longer than their index finger, and you go, oh,
incredibly niche.
Yeah, that's very niche.
Yeah.
Because it's my problem. I can't even fake that, because it's my problem, and I want to have a support group for it. People who just like have these massive thumbs, yeah. But I mean, that would be a very, very niche approach, and they could never expect a mass audience unless it was one that ridiculed them. Like, oh, look at these big thumb people, right? But typically, it's going to be someone who wants to do something popular, usually like one of those Gen Alpha types, right? Who's just gonna make get a thing. Everyone will want to see me shooting people on their computer game. Like this.
But there's like 1 million people
joining every day, not even doing it, joining every day, right? And although loads of people watch that stuff, which is amazing in itself, and obviously great, even though loads of people watch that stuff, there comes a point where you're just kind of cutting down the amount of time they could give to each one, and you just got somebody who's been doing it for years and years, and 3 people is like the most people that have ever watched them.
But but then do they then just reframe it like, I'm a micro-influencer?
Yes, because it sounds like they are successful on some level.
Do you have to be labelled as that by other people? Or is it something you have to come to terms with?
I think what they're trying to do by coining the phrase, I imagine the person who coined the phrase is somebody who is being unsuccessful at finding a large audience and is going, well, this is what I am. I'm a successful micro-influencer.
It's like people say when a bird craps on you, that's good luck.
Yeah.
And I think that's because
somebody
got
situation.
crapped on once and was like, well, actually,
I won the lottery.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So they end up getting deals with kind of small companies, perhaps, but it's like a tenner, like, oh, we'll give you 10 quid if you plug our thing. And you go, oh, okay then, and in the hope that maybe more people see it than they usually do. And I wondered if we're just kind of driving to a situation where we're just going to end up influencing ourselves. We're just in a room learning about ourselves because we're saying things we daren't say otherwise.
Because then at least then you know you can trust your audience.
Yeah. If it's just you. Well, if you can trust yourself, can you?
That's an issue.
Can you trust yourself?
What's the minimum sort of requirement on like followers for a micro influencer?
And what's the maximum?
Yeah.
Yeah, at what point do they break free
What
of...
point do they become an influencer?
I don't know if they gave like, the thing I read wasn't really like specific. It was just kind of like, they don't really, not many people are watching the stuff that they do. But some people are.
I reckon it's under like 5,000 or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not watching it because it's bad content, rather than
maybe they're
there's
not
too
watching
many
it.
people doing it. It's saturated. Maybe it's just.
But a lot
it's
of bad
just not
content
very
is
good.
also very watchable.
Yeah, but then it's very subjective. It suddenly becomes good content.
You're not
for the wrong
influencing,
reasons.
but you're not influenced. I guess
You're not.
But I sort of feel like everyone online is a micro-influencer of some sort because you're influenced by everything you see online. My friend might have 500 followers and they go to a nice brunch spot. I'll go there if it looks like it's got a nice avocado
You've been
on
influenced.
toast.
But that's your friends. There's a degree of trust.
Or someone that just pops up randomly on my algorithm because they've been somewhere.
And they might have a tiny amount of...
They might have a couple of hundred followers.
It does feel strange to imagine that you could have influence over, let's say, 4,000 people and that to be considered micro. But I guess it's all relative when the biggest influencers have followings of like 50 million people.
I mean, and remember that you're kind of slicing time up because you say, I've got 4,000 followers, but those people do not wake up in the morning and go, what are they doing now? Because they
kind of do, but I'd say most people would
for the 4,000 person
would go on their phone first thing in the morning and like go on their social media and scroll.
People are strange now, but even so, but I'm talking about like the little guy with his 4,000, which I actually think is not that bad, but 4,000, you're going, what are they doing? Not what is a person with 3 million followers doing. What's the 4,000? What are they doing? What are they doing? I'm just saying that you're getting so little attention because the person who is following you is also following 1,000 people. I don't know how. Can't even begin to tell you how that works. This is a generational thing again. I follow like 30 people, right? And I'm annoyed by how much they post. The idea that you can follow thousands of people and have any sense of what the hell is going on, or being able to track any of them at all, is like a completely alien concept. I do not understand that.
I don't know if I don't know how many people are following everybody's every move. I think there's a lot of scrolling happening, isn't it?
But you lose track of the people you do care about at that number, because like I've got 30 people, and as I said, I find that annoying, right? There's probably like 4 of them who post something once a month, and I'm like, oh, they're doing something now, and I can just about keep track of that, right?
You're probably spending a lot less time on Instagram than someone who's like 14, but they're spending like the whole day on it.
They've got
all
the
of
time
their entire
to share.
weekend scrolling through social media, whereas you might spend 10 minutes a day.
They're doomed. I mean, they're doomed.
So are we saying that whether you're a micro-influencer or a real fully fledged influencer, all of it is equally vacuous and it's not having as much impact as we think?
I would think that you're not having the impact that you imagine. I think there's a laziness in marketing departments of corporations. I've said it, where they go, how many followers does this person have? What kind of reaction do they get to the thing they post? Let's offer them money to promote our thing. And it's just, there's a marketing budget. It needs to be spent. What came back? Do we know? And I think there's a degree of that. They just said this many followers. I don't know if you're really getting, like the real big people, sure, but I really don't know you're getting that much value for money.
No, there's one person on TikTok that me and my girlfriend check in with every night before we go to bed, because she's great, and she's just like a mid-50s woman who lives in the country, who just like talks about her day. It's adorable. It's amazing.
Right.
And she started doing like commission paid ads for stuff. But in every other video, she's like, "Oh, nobody ever clicks my things anyway, so don't worry about it." But you know, she's probably making like £5, £10 off these companies who are asking her to put these things in her videos. And yeah, I'm just curious as to how. I think she's got like fewer than 3,000 followers. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that would be a be a
Yeah.
micro influencer.
Yeah.
And you always look at her.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, and she'll be getting
I think
pocket money.
sometimes they're more relatable, and I think companies are starting to like the micro influencers because they might be doing it more for the right reasons rather than the bigger influencers. Yeah, that are just doing
For
it
sure.
for the money.
People
and
sniff out authenticity online, I think now.
they do.
Okay, fine. So you're broadly in favour. I think it's a transient position because the micro influencer doesn't dream of stopping there, probably.
Yeah.
Even the lady that you watch, if she was given the choice to have 10 times as many followers, she'd probably take it because
sure.
she's looking for some form of interaction. So you'd be a micro influencer for a period of time, and but you kind of want to sort of sail on to better things. But certainly from an authenticity perspective, probably it feels like that. It feels like it's less engineered and corporate, and it feels like it's closer to you, and it kind of is, but it's also kind of the same. It's just not as advanced. It would get there, but it just...
You have to assume when you reach into like the millions of followers on an influencer, there's like a marketing team and an agent and people being like, this content would work and we should do this thing, we should go here and say this.
And they were normal people, and
Yeah.
who didn't know anything about marketing departments, PR, etc. So they just go, oh okay.
Whereas the micro influencers, it's just this lady, you know, she's just chatting to you about
doing
a
it 'cause
quality
she likes
street.
it. She's just-
And she gets an email from a company, says, we'll give you 50 quid if you say this. And there's really no more to it than that. There's just, oh, okay, I'll
Here's some
say it.
instructions on what we need.
Yeah. Because it's not worth their time to spend loads, like,
Has
coaching
gone up
them.
though. It was £10, now it's £50. It's getting into the region of...
I might give it a go.
Yeah, that sounds...
Tempting.
You can be a micro-influencer in no time at all, you know. And even if you end up sat in a room with your Apple Vision Pro on the floor, micro-influencing only yourself, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world, because maybe you'll think about your life, realise all the terrible things you've done wrong as you're talking to yourself in an empty room, and make changes, which I think we've established would be futile.
It's uplifting.
Yeah.